Rise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for the episode of The Rise. This is our Patreon campaign. This is episode 47. Of course, the much-anticipated Daddy Issues episode. Hosted by Jerry Springer. Your dream Jerry Springer, which is the king of Nod. That being said, if you like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is like these fine folks that you see here before you by joining us over on our Patreon. Link in the description down below. There is a free option. You can go get some updates over there. Join us at the $5 tier for all the after show fun stuff. And as always, in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see the corruption bar. That bar serves two purposes. One is when that bar fills, I got to come up with something crazy to happen in this episode because there's a lot of wild shit going on. And two,
and you spent 2 bars last week.
I spent 2 bars and a GM intrusion last month, so a wild time. And two, every single dollar that goes into that bar goes back to this channel for all kinds of things, like giving G a 45-minute notice before I randomly start streaming Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we'll jump in.
Wait, fix the cameras first.
Oh, son of a bee. Previously on The Rise. The party plunged into the second deep, a vast fungal grove filled with glowing fungi, oppressive spores, magical pools, and a forest nearly too thick to navigate. Recovering from their fall, the 3 conscious demigods carried their companion, attempting to find their way to the edge of the mushroom forest. Succumbing to the spores that pervade the very air they breathe, Antares and Seydlitz fall unconscious, finding themselves in Nod, while Mina watches over their bodies. Antares carried the best god ever.
They carried their companion. No. Antares carried
the best god ever.
Yeah.
As a reminder, in case we have forgotten, Mina, I believe you are still super confident about
super confident and not able to feel any pain whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool.
Only emotional pain.
Yeah. Only emotional damage. No physical damage. Perfect. We start. Darkness presses heavily around you, warm and oppressive like the air of the fungal throne. Echoes of Mina's voice, calm but strange, reach you as if from miles away, muffled and distant. The world feels fractured. Your thoughts slipping between fragments of memory and reality. And then you feel it, Korax. The gentle sway of a wagon beneath you. The creak of wooden wheels on a dusty road. And the familiar rhythmic clink of glass bottles and trinkets rattling in time with the journey. Hey, you. You're awake. Opening your eyes, you look to see the interior of a merchant's wagon. Norm, you're welcome. Crammed with shelves of books, oddities, and peculiar artifacts that shift and shimmer in the light, filtering through the canvas above. The scent of old paper and incense fills your lungs, as comforting as it is nostalgic. Across from you, seated on a sturdy bench, is Telbin, as you remember him. A lean man with a wiry frame, his sharp eyes framed by deep laugh lines, wearing a patched but well-loved traveler's cloak. His fingers drum lightly on the pommel of a staff resting beside him. I wondered when you'd turn up here, he says, his voice carrying the same mix of casual mirth and quiet authority you remember. He doesn't look at you directly, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon visible through the wagon's front flap. Fate has a funny way of winding us back to old crossroads, doesn't it? The wagon jolts slightly, and you glance outside to see a road that doesn't quite make sense. It twists and curls, splitting into paths that shimmer like mirages before vanishing into the horizon. One moment you're crossing the familiar countryside, the next the landscapes shift to an impossible vista of floating islands, bridges of light, and shadowy cliffs. Telbin finally turns his gaze on you, his expression unreadable. Still chasing knowledge, Korax? Or has the weight of it finally caught up to you?
He shrugs. Is there anything else to really chase?
Love?
Distractions?
power, money,
Distractions.
a story all
Distractions.
your own.
Now we're back to knowledge.
Hmm.
Circle back, as you said.
Is it knowledge if you wield the pen?
Depends on what you write. If you write it true, it's knowledge. But it's too easy to twist it if you hold the pen. Write it how you see it.
It's funny, isn't it, Corax? How knowledge. And he looks somewhat knowingly to a very specific spot inside your coat. And you almost feel this book sort of get heavier under his gaze. He says, especially forbidden knowledge calls out to us. But what have you done with it, Corax? Contributed, yes. But how many pages are still blank?
I don't think knowledge should be forbidden. I don't agree with that. It should be shared. But to answer your question, lots are still blank. Stories are still to be written. Stories will still be written long after we're dead. There should be pages to be written.
And since you hold the pen, what will you do with them?
Write it exactly as I see it. Or as I've read it, if I am copying something else. And ensure it's freely available for everyone.
But knowledge is held by the victor.
You don't have to win. You just have to live.
But everything that is written, that is told, is skewed by the human experience. And if you only chase knowledge and not experience, then how will you write your story?
It's only not experience if you sit in a room. If you stay in the library, it's just knowledge. It's experience when you have to go out and find it.
And haven't you been avoiding that? Haven't you been trying to lock yourself away in a house of books, a house of stories, living through others' experiences?
I have. But that's only because there is a lot of information there that needs to be shared. It's still held by the few, denied to the many. A library in a palace isn't accessible to anyone.
The paths we take define us.
On Drafter's behalf.
What the? Did anyone else hear that, or just me? Cool. I just got a voice to text of the tip that popped up in my ears. That was strange. Don't know how to turn that off. Jesus. The paths we take define us. The paths we avoid define us even more. You've carved your way forward, Corax, but is it truly your path? Or are you just following whispers in the dark?
Right now? Does Corax know... Does he remember where he was before he got knocked out?
Yeah.
And he knows that that was real, not a dream.
That you fell off a cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And he says, at the moment, I'm helping others. I'm going to, hopefully, and he looks around, hopefully get and save my sister. And then help someone else find someone that they've lost. That I believe is still alive.
Korax, I came this way to tell you, or to remind you, that every step you take writes your story. But not all paths lead where you think they do. And I could offer you a clearer road, one that shows you the way forward, or one that leads you back. But the choice isn't mine to make. It's yours to ask.
Every road has a destination. I can't make that choice without knowing the destination. You say it's the path forward, but the forward to what?
Wherever the path leads.
So you want me to make a choice without the knowledge of what's at the end?
A true challenge for the god of knowledge.
And what do you define as back? Back to Dawn's Fall, a town that's... And he sighs, a town that's no longer there? Back to Corso? There is no back. There is no back.
The wagon begins to slow. And you see Telbin lean back behind and over your head, and you hear him slide out a wooden drawer, and he pulls out a rolled up piece of parchment. He sort of places it down in the bench between the two of you. And as he places it down, it sort of unrolls. And you see in the center of this map, in the center of this paper is the beginnings of a map. But it looks like the edges have not been finished yet. It seems to go in every direction, and the map could extend beyond, but it just stops where it is. You see that the map has a few roads that are clearly marked. You see that the town of Dawnsfall is marked there, a path leading from Dawnsfall through to Samora, a path leading from Samora to Old Nemero, a path leading from Old Nemero to Corso. Places you've been in your journey. He kind of slides the map over to you, and with that same kind of wry, almost knowing smile, he cocks his head to the side and says, "Pick your path, Korax. Forward or back. But remember, knowledge comes with a price, and some paths, once taken, cannot be walked again."
Every road can be walked twice. But I get what you're saying. You can retrace your steps and learn from the experiences of the paths you've traveled, but the only way is forward. I'm not going back.
As you say that, the map rolls up on itself, and he picks it up, hands it to you. And you watch as he slowly begins to disappear. The wagon around you begins to disappear, and the land all around that begins to fade to blackness. And you hear, "The road is long, and the weight of it is yours alone." And we cut from there back outside to the real world. Well, it's all a perception. The rhythmic hum of the fungus grows louder, pulsing in time with the bioluminescent glow that surrounds you, Mina. The air is thick, heavy, with spores that shimmer faintly in the dim light. As you kneel beside Antares, Seydlitz, and Korax, each of them motionless, their breath shallow and uneven, the weight of your role presses down on you. Protecting them, here in this alien grove, feels insurmountable. You glance at the spongy growth beneath them, where faint tendrils of glowing fungi creep closer, as if drawn to their presence. In the stillness, the air grows colder. A soft rustling sound breaks the silence, like leaves brushing against the stone. And then a low, almost musical hum rises from the fungi around you. The glowing tendrils that seem to appear out from beneath your friends begins to glow and twist and curl into shapes that seem oddly familiar. The hum shifts again, as if the grove itself is calling out to you. Mina, what are you doing? The fairy ring of consuming fungus has not crept any closer. Your friends are no less unconscious, but you have dragged them a distance away. What are you doing?
The first thing that Mina does is pull out of his pack some cloth and tie it around his face in an effort to stop whatever he could be breathing in. And at the same time, he's talking to them all, saying, "Oh, don't worry, Corax. We'll get to Eve soon. We'll get her out of here." I'm not sure what happened to Seydlitz and the terriers, but I'm sure it's just a nap. They'll be fine. I'm here looking out for you all as he's preparing to start up another fire, keeping a one eye on the fairy ring to make sure it doesn't try to get any closer.
Okay. You keep a weathered eye on the proverbial horizon. It does not seem to move at all. You begin to peel bark off of this towering mushroom, much like you had done before, and you rip this down, begin tearing away some of the fungus at like the root level to get to like solid ground, and you begin to make a small campfire. As you do, you watch as the glowing tendrils that seem to be just around the edges of your friends. You watch as the glowing fungus around Corax begins to grow. And at first, it seems to be growing like, is he laying down?
Yeah, he'd probably have them laying down.
Okay. You see it begin to grow up towards his head, not like over his head, but like just over, like just behind his head, as if like a headboard on a bed. And as you watch this, there's an immediate like uneasy feeling of a almost mocking. The fungus is somehow mocking you and forming a tombstone. But the fungus continues to grow. It grows taller and it grows thicker. And you begin to watch as it forms the silhouette of a bookcase. You see that the mushrooms sort of grow out into this thick bookcase. You see that there are mushrooms that seem to form almost the spines of books as this slowly begins to happen behind his head. And you watch as one by one the spines of the books glow faintly with a red hue.
Mina keeps talking to them all. So he's going, I'm not sure if you're doing that, Corax, but are you trying to communicate with me? Should I read one of the books? Any sign will do. And then he'll just walk over and can he read any of the titles on the spines?
There don't seem to be actual titles. The books themselves seem to be entirely made of a mushroom facsimile. So like there's no actual books here. You could pull the mushrooms, these mushroom husks off the shelf, the shelf, so to speak, if you'd like to, but there don't appear to be any words on them.
Yeah, he'll have pulled a book off if he couldn't read a title. Open it up. If it's
strangely enough, you pull this off, and it feels like a mushroom. It's kind of cold. It's kind of a little bit like it's not exactly dry, but it's not exactly wet. And you pull this thing off, and true to form, like a book, it cracks open as you do with that same sort of spine crunch of a book. And you see that there are thinner, like mushroom leaves in here, as if forming the pages of a book.
And there's nothing written on the pages or anything like that?
They all seem to be blank.
He just turns to Corax and says, "Well, if this doesn't wake you up, I'm all out of ideas." And he throws the book on the fire.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. You throw the book on the fire, and the fire immediately bursts into this red-orange, growing in height as the fire consumes this mushroom. And as it recedes back down, you see the shelf here, the bookshelf, unchanged. But you see that there is something happening around Seydlitz. You see more of these glowing sort of fungi tendrils. They seem to be like growing up and onto his chest. Not in a way that's encompassing him, but you see like one sort of tendril will like go up over his chest, and then it stops at a point, and you see it sort of grow out, as if forming almost a kind of cage. They don't ever meet. They don't go from one side to side. They don't like laterally bisect him or anything like that. They just seem to go to a point, stop, and then grow out. What do you do?
Many will go over and say, now I've got to deal with you as well. I think I would have been better coming down here by myself." And he'll just pull off one of those tendrils if he can and see how easy or hard it is to do that.
Yeah. You pull off the mushroom, and where you pull it from, it like where it grew up over his ribs, it doesn't actually snap from the ground. It snaps from the point where like it started to grow vertically. And where it grows vertically, you see that there is a red mark, like the cells of the mushroom left a red mark. And when you pull this thing out, it is hard. It feels like wood almost. And it looks as though there is a bloody mark on Seydlitz from the red cells of the interior of the mushroom as you pull one of these off. And as you hold this, you kind of look, and it looks as though Seydlitz has been peppered with crossbow bolts or arrows.
Yeah, Mina just goes, "This is going to be a long night. I hope you wake up soon." And he'll start clearing a space around Seydlitz if he can, to try to make it as difficult as possible for these tendrils to mark him.
Okay.
And he'll just, yeah, Mina will just get stuck into that. And if he gets to a point where that stops, he'll do the same for Antares and Corax.
Okay. Perfect. We cut. The scent of coffee and freshly cooked eggs wafts through the air. A warm and grounding aroma that pulls you from the darkness. Your eyes flutter open to find yourself seated at a well-worn table, its surface etched with faint scratches and stains that tell a story of countless meals shared here. Around you is the kitchen of your childhood home, Seydlitz. Sunlight streaming through lace curtains, casting golden light across the room. The table is set as you remember it, steaming plates of eggs, sausage, beans, bread. But it's too perfect, too vivid, like a memory polished and set on display. Footsteps creak down the stairs, and turning, you see him. Bennett, your father, though you know in your heart it isn't really him. He's dressed for the hunt, wearing heavy canvas breeches, a leather doublet, and a familiar crossbow slung over his shoulder. His gait is easy and confident, but his eyes, sharp and knowing, betray the truth. "Funny I should see you here," he says, pulling a chair back with a casual scrape and sitting across from you. "I believe you've been wanting to have a few words with me, young man." And you sit across the table from what is ostensibly your father.
Few words, maybe, but is this a dream of your making or mine?
I don't make dreams.
Yet you sit across me looking like my father when you aren't.
You are in control of your dreamscape, Seydlitz. I appear as you like to see me. You tell me why we're here. and I'm in this drab outfit.
The ways of the mind still elude me even to this day, so I can't even tell you. Let's just get to the point. Yes, I did have something I wanted to ask you, but that was so many, many days ago. If it even becomes relevant.
You've always been a man with questions, Seydlitz. A seeker. But tell me, what exactly are you looking for? Validation for your choices? A purpose? Or just someone to blame?
The truth.
Why does the truth drive you to such lengths? What will it do?
What does the truth do for anyone except for prove them right or wrong? But the point is, what's down there is what I want to know. And I want to know if the person I supposedly lost down there can be brought back.
After this many years, you think they wouldn't have tried, or if they're still alive, they wouldn't have done everything in their power? Why now? Why wait so long? It's been a decade. You could have left at any time.
What's the point of uncovering the truth for yourself when you can't share it? Even if I go down there and find a bunch of old bones, it's still better than nothing.
Is it? You've already mourned. You've already faced the loss. Why reopen the wound, Seydlitz?
To let the rot out.
Why am I dressed like this?
If you tell me how I can change this dreamscape to something else right now, I'd happily change it for you.
It's all in your mind. You conjured it to begin with. I'm only here because you sought an audience.
What did you mean by make things right all those days ago?
You're important, Seydlitz. The lot of you. You're entangled, embroiled. The threads you each bear in the weave of things. Let's just say you're tied and tangled into some very big knots. Something has bound the four of you together. And though your paths may split, they all seem to come back. I aim to understand why.
And how does understanding make things supposedly correct in your eyes? What is correct to you?
I could ask you the same question.
It's all philosophy.
It's all a matter of perspective. You want to know the truth so you can come to terms with the decisions you've made, the life you've lived. I want to know the truth because I'd like to know what happened to bring us here. Your futures will better help me understand the past. And your
Are you sure
past
it's
will
mine
hopefully
you're
better
watching?
understand your future.
Are you sure it's my future you're interested in?
It's
And not
all
just
of
certain
yours.
other ones?
You're all connected. You're weaved together like a braid.
Even if I'm not a father, why one man to another? I know you're watching a certain one very closely compared to the rest of us.
You seem to have some fatherly interests, so I'll tell you, I'm watching a great many closer than some of you. The one you're referring to, yes, of course. She's not alone.
Let's just say there are things in this world that I don't think I understand, but you might, but I'm not going to ask.
Let me tell you something. The path ahead of you isn't one that you can hunt down with that crossbow of yours. You're going to have to make choices. Hard ones. And you'll have to live with them, like your dear old dad did. Do you have that in you to do? Or are you going to keep running every time the trail gets cold?
Let me put your question with another. And what if that choice comes and the choice becomes between your daughter and the other two?
That's your choice to make, Seydlitz. As long as a choice is made. He stands
In the
up.
end,
Okay.
we never know how things go. Choices are simple. We stick them in one moment to the next, and next thing we know, it's 2 years later, and we find out, yes, our life is different because of that small, simple suggestion in the moment.
He smiles. A almost sinister smile. And he stands. You see him hook the crossbow off the side of the chair as he approaches you, and he places it on the table. He places a hand on your shoulder and he says, I'll leave you with this. Hunting is more than the chase. It's about knowing when to pull the trigger and when to let the quarry go. And as the room begins to dissolve around you, you hear the King of Nod say, Don't lose sight of what you're hunting, boy. Not everything in these deeps is worth killing. And your familial cottage fades to black. And Mina, as you clear away some of the underbrush around Seydlitz, you've removed all of the arrows, the barbs that grow from his chest. You see that instead of continuing to grow there, a crown of horns, almost like antlers, has begun to grow on the ground, not exactly touching Seydlitz, but coming out from the underside of his head, forming antlers of a stag beneath him. They glow.
Mina looks at Seydlitz and says, well, that's new. I guess that's the equivalent of Corax's bookshelf. Suits you. I'll let it be. And then he'll move on to Antares.
Perfect. You move over to Antares, and you see that an area of fungus has extended around Antares, forming a perfect rectangle about half a foot out in every direction from her, forming this almost casket-like box around her. And you see, though, ominous at first glance, you see that there are intricate movements inside this. A pattern has begun to form as this fungus that is, again, still glowing, has begun to form maze-like pathways throughout the box, seeming to be one contiguous shape moving all around her, as if Antares herself was trapped in a maze.
Mina will assess the maze for a bit, and then he'll just strike a path straight through the middle of it.
Interesting. You carve a path with your hand, and you see as your hand goes, a mushroom moves up and begins to sort of grow in the path that you're carving. And you see this is like a pale blue mushroom, and it reminds you of the color of the dress you saw Antares wear in the markets of Samora as it follows your hand. And we cut yet again. The rustling of leaves fills your ears, soft and rhythmic, like a lullaby carried on a gentle breeze. Your eyes flutter open to a golden sky, framed by the high walls of an immaculate hedge maze. Around you, the world is a painter's dream, vibrant flowers in full bloom, topiaries shaped like dragons and heroes, and intricate hedges carved into the likeness of knights and horses. The scene is breathtaking in its perfection, yet its symmetry and beauty feels artificial, oppressive. Looking down, your heart sinks. You are dressed in a ludicrously frilly gown, the fabric layered with ruffles and lace. Ringlets cascade down your shoulders, their curls bounce with every movement, and ribbons adorn your hair in a way that feels unbearably saccharine. Beside you lies a doll, its well-loved face cracked in places, its expression frozen in a knowing smile. "Miss Antares," a calm, low voice calls, and you turn to see the elephant-headed butler in a finely tailored suit standing nearby, his tone polite but firm. "And 10, I believe you are supposed to seek." And he gestures towards the maze entrance with a bow, stepping aside as if to give you no choice but to play the game. What do you do?
She turns and regards the butler, and she's confused at first. And then she looks towards the entrance to the maze, glances back at the butler, and then she starts heading that way. And first she's walking, and then she finds her pace quickening until she breaks into a run. And then like we hear her breath turn more to like a high-pitched sound of a child. And then as she turns the corner, into the hedge maze for the first time, we see her as an actual child, maybe like 8 years old, maybe, hard to tell. But yeah, her long dark brown hair, almost black, curly, pulled up in the front like this, with her bows, and her eyes that look like fire, super big and round and youthful, and she's running to try and find whoever it is she needs to find.
You wander through the maze, the laughter of unseen children echoing faintly in the distance. Each turn feels designed to taunt you. Paths that lead to dead ends, adorned with mirrors showing your reflection in the frilly dress, and statues whose expressions seem to twist into mockery when you look away. The sense of being watched grows with every step. Eventually, you round a corner and find yourself in a small clearing, the center of the maze. A picnic basket is spread on the grass, laden with cakes, sandwiches, and a steaming teapot. Seated cross-legged in the center is a man impossibly familiar. Sharp eyes that gleam with mischief, a smile that's both warm and infuriating, and an air of effortless confidence. "About time," he says, waving you over. "I thought I'd have to send someone to fetch you. Sit. It's rude to keep your father waiting."
You're supposed to be hiding. And she skips over and flops down with a big poof of ruffle frilly dress and reaches for uh, a really a dessert stacked really high with like colorful icing.
No one hides from you for very long. This was
What are we
your
doing
idea.
today?
This was your idea.
Are you having fun? I'm having fun.
I'm always having fun. I
She
long
takes
for
a
these
huge
days.
bite and gets icing all over her face.
You know, I thought that our first real tete-a-tete would be a little bit less frilly. But dreams have a sense of humor, don't they?
She wipes her face. I guess so. Everything just seems to be a joke lately, doesn't it?
Spoken like someone who needs some levity in their life. What is it that you want to know, Antares?
She regards her half-eaten piece of cake and then looks up at him. Are you really my papa?
Of course.
But but she kind of scrunches her face up. But she said my mom and dad didn't want me anymore, and they gave me away to her, and that she would take care of me.
She would say anything to keep you exactly where she wanted you. You have my spark, you know. The restless, unyielding drive to shape the world to your will. What will you do with it, I wonder?
Well, I got this, and her nimbus appears.
You look up, and you have the 10-year-old girl version of your Nimbus.
Wow!
Confetti. He smiles at you and he says, "This, all of this, it's all your doing."
How?
Well, it's not my style, but this isn't about me, is it? Is this?
Oh, I'm dreaming.
Of course. Of course.
Oh, I see. So this isn't real.
Oh, it's real. And it's all in your mind, Antares. Is this how you see yourself? Or is this how you fear others might see you? Powerless, decorative, or something to be admired but not taken seriously?
Well, I do now. Well, but no. And she like smushes the cake down back onto the plate.
For a long time, you were a tool in a belt. What are you now?
I just want to be me.
Does this dress define you? Or do you define the dress?
The dress doesn't define me.
Redemption,
I don't need...
vengeance. Everything is a choice that you made.
She
Who will you become?
nods. I know who I'm gonna become.
Good. You have
But
strength.
why didn't you come and get me?
I'm unable to leave.
Did you give me away? Like she said? She says a lot of lies, but doesn't mean that everything she said was a lie.
I am unable to leave the realm of dreams. Your mother, on the other hand, is quite capable of coming and going.
Like
For a
she
long
kind of
time,
crossed.
she lived here. She stayed among the stars. And she took you. A number of others. Found more. Killed some, kept others.
All of your kids? You said I was one of your brood. So how many of them, how many are there? Are they my brothers and sisters?
There's quite a few. Some are your half-brothers, half-sisters. I assure you, you're the only one I had with her.
She gives him a look of like realization. You mean she actually is a part of me?
You weren't found by anyone. You weren't freely given by anyone. You were taken by someone who had the authority to take you and the ability to leave when I could not.
Did you know what she was going to do?
Only in the moments leading up to it.
I mean, she crosses her arm like
task
that.
I gave your friend was not one of necessity to make the world a better place.
What friend?
Your knowledge-bound friend. The god of knowledge.
Korax?
Your task. The
Oh,
price for his life.
yeah.
Was not one that was not made for the benefit of the world. It was petty and selfish. And I still mean to collect on it. But I think now you understand why that was the task I gave. And why I gave it to you.
She nods. I she wants to say something, but she's kind of nervous to say it. I wish you had tried harder to stop her.
So do I, child. My power is limited. My capacity is limited. But I can offer you a choice. And you see, he reaches inside of the pocket of the breast of his jacket, and he pulls out two small, intricate keys. One, the base of which is shaped like the dark side of the moon. The key is in black iron. The other, shaped like the red face of the moon in pearlescent hues, and he places both of these beautifully intricate keys. And he motions to each of them, not pausing long enough for you to get an inkling of which key is which. He says, one key leads to the center of it all, the center of the maze, where you'll find everything that was laid out before you. Power, dominion, a throne, all that is rightfully yours. The other leads you out of the maze to a world where the stakes are higher, the risks greater, and the rewards uncertain. Choose wisely, but remember, my child, the maze has a way of keeping those who linger too long. And he stands up, and he begins to walk away.
Is he taking the keys with him?
Nope, they're just sat on the blanket.
I think she'll pick them up, one in each hand. Wait, which one's which?
As he walks away, you see him walk towards one of the hedges, not an entryway or exit. And over his shoulder, he says, "You'll figure it out. You always do. After all, you are my daughter." And he walks through the hedge.
I think she just sits there with like the keys in her hand, hands in her lap, and she's just looking at them.
Do you choose?
But I don't know which one's which.
Choose with your heart. Which one do you want?
Well, I think I know which one she would immediately take, but I don't know which key is which.
Which one do you immediately take?
What do they look like again? One's the dark side of the moon and one is the light side of the moon?
The red face of the moon, yeah.
The red face? So what does that mean? The red face?
The moon is red. The Nod is a red moon. So the shadow over Corso, like over the Nightlands, is the shadow of the sun. It's like this. It's like an eclipse, right? That's why the Nightlands are shadowed. But when you look up at the sky, you see the red moon.
Okay.
So like imagine our moon, we see white and like a waxing crescent or a waning crescent. You see the black, dark side of the moon. It's kind of that, but red and black instead of red and white, or instead of black and white.
And then the other key is the dark side.
Correct.
Fuck. Oh, I don't know.
What did you guys think? I was going to give you easy choices to make about your
Yes.
about your weird dreamscapes? You think I was going to be cryptic in the dream space?
Oh shit.
One key leads you deeper to power, a throne. One key leads you out to higher stakes, greater risks, and uncertain rewards.
Yeah, and I think that's what she would take.
The second one?
Yeah.
Okay. You take a key. You hold on to that thought. Just out of curiosity, which key? What does it look like? Which key you take?
Well, to me, the dark side of the key would be, I'll rephrase that. I think the red key symbolizes staying on what's the Elanehtar, the planet?
Okay.
On Earth, whatever. And the other key would be leaving. And in theory, going up into where gods might go.
Interesting.
That's kind of but I have no idea if that's right or not, but immediately she would take the the second option.
Okay. The one that
The
leads
one,
you out of the maze.
yeah.
Okay. You take the key. You think means that. And the clearing begins to dissolve around you into swirling petals and light. The sound of the maze fading into the rhythmic hum of the second deep. And as your eyes flick open, you hear, "Don't forget, Antares. Power doesn't change who you are. It reveals it." Seydlitz, you open your eyes, the warmth of the vision of your home replaced by the damp, heavy air of the second deep, the rhythmic hum of the fungus around you, and you find yourself lying on the spongy ground beside Antares. The King of Nod's presence has faded, but his words linger, intertwining with your thoughts, like a hunter's unshakable instincts. And lastly, Corax. You stir awake in the fungal throne, your body aching and your mind heavy with the dream. Mina is knelt by at the fireside, tending to Antares and Seydlitz, and the rhythmic hum of the fungus fills this area, and the faint glow of bioluminescence illuminates you and your friends' faces. Mina, you hear everyone rustle and crunch under the sound, under the weight of themselves on the mushrooms, and you look around, and where there was once a shelf of mushroom books, a crown of horns, of stag horns, in an intricate labyrinth, there is nothing but the soft, mossy undergrowth of the fungal throne. And you watch as all of your friends begin to come to, cough, and you see a puff of spores leave their mouths. Your friends are awake.
Mina reaches into his pack, pulls out enough material to give them each as a bandana, and starts going around. Are you okay? I don't know what happened to you, but you were doing weird stuff with the mushrooms.
I think she sits up and she quickly touches her hair to make sure there's no bows in it and it's not curly anymore.
Everything is as it was and as it should be.
And she's like, "Oh, thank God."
I'll never understand that cryptic old man. Get smited.
She looks at Mina. "Are you okay?"
I'm fine. I'm better than ever. What happened to you all? You all had weird mushroom growths happening around you. Put this on. I think you're breathing in some psychedelics.
Right. Like she remembers and she turns, "Corax," and she turns towards Corax. "You're awake."
Corax looks around at all of the mushrooms, and many, many, many episodes ago, Corax stole a book on mushrooms. This is all the way back in Gelvin's house. Sorry, borrowed a book from Gelvin's on mushrooms of the Nightlands, and he panics. Seeing all the mushrooms around, he panics. He takes the bandana from Mina and he covers his mouth, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, but these things like give off spores and weird shit you don't want to be breathing."
Yeah, no kidding. How's your
Yeah,
arm?
Only if you could have woken up earlier and told us.
Well, you should read more. And he feels his arm, and he broke his arm, right?
It was like, yeah,
Correct.
dislocated or something. And I
And it
said
was in a
it.
sling.
Yeah, it's in a sling.
And he's like, he looks down and realizes, and he goes, "Okay," and he starts to feel it. It hurts like hell, but it's still there.
Well,
Thanks to whoever did this.
I don't think an amputation was called for.
I should hope not.
And she will get up.
I don't trust any of you to do that properly.
Right.
Well, how many books have you read on how to amputate an arm? How many times have you done it?
Surprisingly few, but you
Yeah.
don't need to read books on how to chop an arm off.
Sorry, how many have you removed that weren't people who were people that needed it removed? And not because you didn't like them?
Well, because I didn't like them, whether or not they needed it. I guess that's all perspective. And she'll get up. And she'll help Seydlitz up. Like, offer her hand.
It'll take it.
And then she'll help Korax.
Uh,
I'm assuming Mina's standing, so she doesn't need to help him.
he takes the hand, and then as he's on his feet, he looks around. Good. We shouldn't hang around. We got to keep moving.
Right.
Don't step in the red fungus.
I don't want to touch anything here.
Well, too late. You're already touching it.
Okay, more than I already have.
Where are you trying to go? Mina has a little camp set up here. There's a pack. You see now that you're here, Korax. You see a forest of mushrooms, redwood-sized mushrooms. This huge, thick, dense forest of different types of mushrooms. You do see a bit away. I assume Mina would have dragged you a fair distance that would be safe, but also not too jostling away. You do see this mound of red, looking like a moss-covered area. And as you wake up, you see that it is this lush red field of like soft-looking moss, and you see that there is a blanket in the middle of it, and there are towers of like 10, 12, 15 stacks of books just sort of edging around the blanket.
Sorry, there's a blanket with books on it.
Mm-hmm. In the center of the red moss.
Can I chop
Korax
him in the
looks at
back
you.
of the head?
Korax looks at that, and he looks across at the others. He goes, "Do you have anything that I can use to try and fish those out?"
She looks at Mina.
The three of you look, and you see a like red, this like weird viscous red, like mossy goo that has a dozen or so corpses in it.
mean,
Mina
Those
just
aren't
says,
is a good
books,
choice.
mate.
yeah, Mina just says, "Oh, it's not whatever you think it is. It tries to eat you."
Okay, I want to get out of here.
Well, we were trying to do that, and she will reach into her bag and hand him the map. Tandri's map. Maybe with this and the map in your head.
The map in my head didn't go far.
Well, we're kind of lost. We have no reference point. Oh, we were heading towards a cave, weren't we?
We were looking for what was supposedly a mountain.
Yeah, there's like a mountain on. She points to the mountain on the map that looks like has a cave in it. We were heading there, but there's no. And she points. The guys climbed up there, but couldn't really see anything.
As Antares unfurls the map and kind of points in a reference of like where she has marked there to be a cave, for a second, Korax, you see that map.
Which map?
The center
The one
of
that
the map
he was
is,
given by Telbin?
The center of the map is filled out. A journey from Dawn's Fall to Corso, and an uncharted course before you.
Korax wants to look at that map, Mike, but he doesn't want to look at it with everyone around.
Why?
Secret keeper.
Because it's sneaky sus things.
Who's Sussex now?
Ah, yes, the map that could get us out of this fungus thing. I don't want to use it because there are other people here.
Damn right.
Mina, while this is going on, your friends are sort of waking up and assessing what the hell's happened to them. You've been watching over them for what amounts to hours at this point, right? There's no way to tell what time of day it is because there's no sun here. And even if there were, the canopy of mushroom caps would block that out. You guys have had a bit of a short rest while you were here. So the day has dragged on. You're all getting towards, I mean, you mostly, Mina, you've been conscious the whole time, but you're getting a little tired, despite how confident you are that you can get out of any situation. Go ahead and roll me a difficulty for intellect or perception kind of roll.
Intellect defense or
No, just like you're looking for something, so perception based, anything that would help you search.
Is this everybody?
Nope, just him. You guys are all just waking up. He's the one who's been most. Holy shit!
Oh, wow.
Jesus Christ!
Well,
I
that
know
helps.
everything.
That's
Typical
true. That's
Bjorn.
true.
Overconfident me. Oh yeah, we
Mina-
have.
Mina, you
He's still under the
confidently-
effects.
You confidently know everything. And it's one of those. Oh man, all I can think of is such a trash reference.
I forgot he's still under the effects of that water that makes him super confident.
You look around and you notice something immediately. But like the way you notice or the way you react to it with a nat 20 is in a way that does not alarm what you're seeing or alarm your friends, because due to your overconfidence, you are completely sure that what you see is not only friendly, but ultimately there to aid you. And you see that there are about half a dozen mushroom stalks in this forest, these large mushroom stalks. And you see that half a dozen of them have this, what looks like a weird growth sort of sticking out of them. But the weird growth that's sticking out of them all seems to like kind of point in your direction. And you realize that it's not a weird growth and that there is some sort of mushroom hominid that is clutching onto the side of this mushroom trunk and peeking out and watching you. There are 6 of these mushroom hominids looking out at you, and you can see their glowing bioluminescent eyes staring at your group. They seem to be very curious.
Mina just turns to the others. Maybe we can ask them. They can tell us which way to go.
She turns and looks.
You all turn and you see there are 12 beady, glowing, bioluminescent eyes looking back at you.
I'm willing to bet all my moons they don't even speak our language.
She will give a tentative little wave.
I'm pretty sure we can
Make
communicate
sure
with
that
them.
Mina. Corax, make sure that Mina is between him and them.
Yeah, Mina goes over and just, waves. We're looking for directions. We're looking for a cave or any way down to the next deep.
You watch as the largest one of them sort of steps out from behind their stalk, and you see this humanoid shape. The form is I don't know, it's kind of indistinct. It's sort of like living plants, right? And they move towards you in more of a way that like their body is moving physically slower than their body's moving forward. So like as they like slowly lift their leg, their body is moving forward and the leg touches down. And then the second leg, it's as if the ground is actually carrying them forward, almost like a conveyor belt, like a people mover. And he moves up close enough that you can make out their face. And what you see is a cluster of like bluish tendrils of fungus that sort of shift and move almost like liquid, like a lump of mushrooms are sort of growing over each other in perpetuity. And in your head, you hear 6 distinct voices talking in unison. And it says, "We mean you no harm, Protector. You do not belong in the Mother's Grove, but we see the light in you and your companions. They have broken the tether."
Yeah, sorry, they didn't mean to. It was they tend to just barge through things. But yeah, we're looking for a way down to the next step. That way we can not break any more tethers.
You did not break a tether. They were tethered between here and the beyond.
Oh, sleeping. Yes, they were doing that.
You are not welcome here. But we can bring you somewhere safe.
That sounds ideal. Yeah, if you would like that, we'd appreciate it. No problem. The sooner we can get out of whatever mushrooms have for hair, the better, I guess.
You are welcome to follow us to the Mother's village. The Mother knows what is to come, and you will need strength for the path ahead.
Yeah. This lot definitely looks like they could use some more sleep. I guess I'll get some while I'm there too.
Please, follow us.
And Mina just turns. This way, guys. They talk in your head, so feel free to say hello. Don't be weird.
What's wrong with him? She mutters under her breath.
Mike, did we hear any of that conversation?
Nope.
Other than Mina's part of it?
Nope.
And Terry,
Corax just follows Mina.
yeah, and Terry just walks forward.
I'm
That
done
was the
questioning the
saddest reaction
strangeness.
to know. You're like, oh, I really would have liked to hear all of that.
I am done questioning the strangeness of this.
Well, Mina's going to keep me alive, so I'm going with Mina. And we've got
Corax,
the
did your
same
book
destination.
mention anything about fungus people?
I mean, it was funguses of the Nightlands, so no. But I don't even want to eat here.
I mean, rather than read, just ask them. They're nice enough people, things, mushrooms. I'm sure they'll tell you anything you want to know.
Corax is currently hiding behind Antares now because Mina went forward. And he leans out and he goes, "Are you going to try and make us eat random weird mushrooms that are going to kill us?"
Oh, no, they said they mean us no harm.
Yeah, Mina, that's what you said, but they didn't tell me that.
We won't force you to eat anything.
They spoke to me because I'm the leader, so it makes sense.
Korak smiles. Yeah, you are, Mina.
We absorb the light of the Mother.
Sure.
We don't need to eat. We have no need for food.
What does the Mother eat?
Photosynthesis.
The light of the sun.
There's no sun here.
The Mother provides.
Mike, I'd like to use one of my abilities.
That's crazy. Go for it. What is it?
You are trained in discerning people's true motives or seeing through lies. Are they talking shit, Mike? Or
You
do
can go
they
ahead and
fully
make
believe what they're telling
You
us?
can make a roll for it. You're trained in the role. So make a roll. It is going to be difficulty 7.
I don't like difficulty 7s, Mike.
Well, that's, what can I help you?
I'll give you one effort. We'll take the risk.
Ow.
Success!
What was your exact question?
Are they talking shit, or do they fully believe what they're telling us?
They fully believe what
About
they're telling
us.
you.
So, So they don't believe that they need to feed us to the mother. Okay.
No, they don't. They confidently do not. They don't have mouths. They
don't.
are. Yeah, as far as you can tell, the mother doesn't either. Your best guess, the mother is something akin to them, a fungal person, and they don't consume food in the way that you consume food. So no one is feeding anyone to anything.
All right. Korax will just look to the others and go, well, Mina trusts them, and I trust Mina. Damn. They seem to believe what they're telling us, so.
Well, I don't know about you, Korax, but I still have tons of rations left.
I don't want to open them.
She just shrugs.
Have you seen when mushrooms get all over your food?
Oh, don't worry, Korax. You already had spores in your lungs. So, yeah. The fact that you were unconscious, yeah. You
I'm
were
wondering
breathing
if
them this
you
whole
just
time.
don't like mushrooms.
As Antares says this, Korax, you kind of look around and you do that kind of like squint, like you're trying to like look deeper, and you can see that like though there is no apparent sun here, you can still see like beams of light kind of coming through the mushroom cap forest, and you can see those particles, like after you just dusted in your house, and you can see those little stray particles in the light beams, the rays of sun. As she says, spores. You can kind of just see them permeating the entirety of the air.
Korax looks to Seydlitz as he said what he did. He goes, it's not that I don't trust mushrooms. Is if you read about them, I've got a book back in Samora. You're welcome to read it. Some of them are deadly, some of them are great. And if you don't know the difference, you're screwed. That's what I don't trust. And the spores, if you look around, there's spores everywhere. That's going to be all over your food. So you could be eating bad mushrooms, you could be eating good mushrooms. I don't trust mushrooms unless I know exactly what I'm looking at. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Well, we have no other choice right now,
No, we're
Korax.
going with them.
I know.
But I
But
want to get out
we
of here.
literally fell off a cliff and landed here. So I don't know what you want from us.
I don't want anything. I want to get out of here.
We're trying. We don't know where we are and we're lost.
They're
So
taking us somewhere.
where are
What
they
I'm saying
taking
is I
us,
don't want to
Mina?
eat.
At
Yes.
this point, I'm willing to trust the strange mushroom people because do we have any better leads?
No,
And,
we
and
don't.
and they're taking us to the mother. How bad could someone who calls himself a mother be?
Oh, she goes to say something, but she stops.
Ugh.
Worst person to ask that question to.
I know,
Yeah. No,
right?
she after what she just learned, the realization she learned from her father of Nod, she would have made a snide comment about her mother, but her mother, which is no longer, so
Crazy.
yeah, she
So
acted
you
as
guys
a pain.
are following the mushroom people.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Just where I wanted you. As you do so, again, you watch in like strangeness as the mushroom people walk forward, and it's like a people mover in the airport. Like they lift a leg, but they're still moving forward, even though the leg hasn't touched the ground yet. They walk at the same pace as you guys walk, so it's not like you have to like run to catch up with them. The path ahead of you glows faintly. The path ahead of you glows faintly, illuminated by trails of bioluminescent spores that swirl gently in the humid air. The rhythmic hum of the Mother's Grove grows softer, replaced by a faint melody carried on the wind, a song that feels both alien and soothing. Then the village comes into view. Nestled within a massive, hollowed cavern, the village radiates an ethereal beauty. Towering fungal spires, shaped like organic pagodas, rise toward the ceiling, their glowing caps casting multicolored light across the cavern walls. Between the spires, clusters of smaller mushroom-like homes form rings around the central square, their entrances framed by soft moss and trailing vines that pulse with life. In the center of the village stands an enormous mushroom pillar, its cap shaped like an inverted bowl. From its edges drip glowing droplets of amber liquid, which falls into a shallow, shimmering pool at its base. The mushroom people tend to this structure with reverence, their movements graceful and deliberate, as if choreographed to the music of the grove. The air here feels lighter, the oppressive weight of the fungal throne somehow diminished, though the spore-laden atmosphere still carries an air of mystery. These mushroom people move through the village with quiet purpose, their glowing forms blending seamlessly into the bioluminescent tapestry of the cavern. The group leading you here stops at the entrance and says, "Welcome to our village." And you all hear
Mina
that in your
bows.
head.
Yeah. Mina bows, says, "Oh, thank you. Did we need to check in with the mother, or?"
The mother sees all and knows all. You are welcome to make yourselves feel comfortable.
Okay. Is there somewhere we could kick back, relax, have a rest?
Yes, you may enjoy the gardens. And you see the one that has been, like, kind of speaking, like the one that's been, like, mostly looking at you when speaking, points. And you see that there are fields of cultivated fungi that sort of spread out around the village, around the edges of the village. They have, it almost looks like a rainbow around the village, fading from like a blue to a greenish blue to a green to a yellow to an orange to a red, and it sort of encircles the town. And he says, "These would be most comfortable for you."
Ah, perfect.
The gardens.
Yeah. Ah, perfect. We'll go relax a bit. Thank you.
And Terry's
mother
will like
does-
she'll do like a little acknowledge nod, like, and she'll say, "Thank you for your help."
"I wish you safe travel through the grove."
Me too.
And then
And they all six of them simultaneously walk in. The thing you notice first about the town once you've been here for a minute is that the only sound you hear is this like wind through a willow, like this like almost kind of melodic sound of like of a forest, right? Like the sound of like going from a city to a forest. It's kind of lilting, a little musical, but it seems like wind moving through the cavern walls, through the different areas of the village. There is no talking. There is no speaking. There is no crunching of gravel or ground under the foot of these people. The village itself is quiet, except for the natural hum of the cavern and the music of nature.
Well, this is someplace, that's for sure.
I mean, on the plus side, they don't seem to be trying to kill us.
It's nice for a change.
It is, isn't it? And
Not
Mina
wrong.
will just sort of like go to the garden and just find somewhere to kick back and relax.
What does the rest of you do? Mina seems very confident in his ability to hang out.
Is there a wall, like a cliff wall or anything like that? It's just
You're
literally
in
open fields.
a giant cavern mouth. So like imagine like a huge bear cave. big enough to fit this village in. But what you can see through the village, you don't see like a tunnel that leads deeper into a mountain, right? You just see this hole that you're in. So yeah, eventually, if you leave the village, you'll hit rock wall or you'll back out to the forest.
So, do we think this is the cave on the map?
You're the
Seems
tracker.
all very likely.
If it's a friendly place and Tandri had been here before, it makes sense that he would mark it on the map.
Seydlitz is going to take the map, and under the assumption that this is the cave marked on it, he's going to try to figure out if, like, where to go for a possible way out.
Yeah, go ahead and you get a bonus, not a bonus, an asset for this. Go ahead and roll me a DC. It's going to be 6 navigation check. So whatever you have for navigating skills, and you'll get a bonus for Tandri's map.
I have navigation
or an asset for Tandri's map. While this is happening, what is Korax and Antares doing?
Korax is looking for something solid that is not a mushroom to lean against.
Everything around here seems sort of natural and somewhat fungal. However, I
knew that was going to happen.
I had that feeling.
Those are not mutually exclusive. There is mushrooms that are like as hard as tree trunks. However, nothing seems manufactured here. Everything seems to have grown or have been cultivated in a way to form the object that it is currently forming.
But there's not like a rock
Nope.
in the middle of their field.
Nope.
I'll just get to that in a moment.
You gonna spend an XP for that, Matt?
Do I want to use my 1 XP?
That's entirely up to you. I mean,
Chris,
what's
How
gonna
bad
happen?
do you want it to be?
What's
Mina?
gonna happen is you don't find the path. That's it. You are lost.
Well, if you only had one, I wouldn't spend it.
If it's just
Personally.
I
Yeah.
don't figure it out right now, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have the mushroom people just come to life and eat you. It's not.
Or the map ruined.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
like, well, the map doesn't have enough detail
Yeah,
for me
yeah.
to figure this out.
Yeah, easy peasy on that one. The GM intrusion is here. We'll add an actual mechanic in here.
I mean, if you want to just hold it for a corruption.
You know what? That's a good idea. I'll take you up on that offer, Matt. I'll hold. I will delay. I'll happily delay your
Makes
Nat
sense.
one.
Demise.
your
Yeah,
demise.
I mean, does it make this like what's a GM intrusion for reading a map?
Yeah.
Other than the map gets torn to shreds.
Yeah,
for
I'm not
some
gonna ruin the
reason.
map. It was hard enough to get it. You saved it from a T-Rex. So, Korax, no, you don't see any rocks. There's nothing of the kind. Like, there's a cavern wall, but it's outside of the town. But there are like, man, all I can think of is like, you know, when they first enter Willy Wonka's factory, and there's like the mushrooms that you can like scoop the cream out of. There's like big mushrooms that are like almost like topiaries or like statuaries that are like shaped like things as if they were like convinced to cultivate that way. So there are things that are decorative, natural, like fungal things, but nothing like a boulder in here.
He's
See,
going to look
let's
for
reading
something.
map in the background.
Yeah, he's going to look for something big, tree-esque.
Yep.
And he's going to sit with his back to that.
Okay.
And he's going to wrap himself as much as he can in his cloak, and just watch out and see where everyone else goes.
Everyone else in your group? Okay.
Yeah.
I believe, Mina, you are comfortably lounging, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. He's found what looks to be the comfiest part of the garden, and he's kicking back and resting.
Yeah, you are confident to the point where, like, if someone told you they found a comfier spot, you could fight them, because you know you're right. It's 100%. You found the softest moss. In fact, when you laid down, it was almost like the fungus formed a pillow under your head. And it just feels like sleeping on dreams.
He feels a little bit guilty. He's found the comfiest spot, but he's the best of them, so he deserves it.
That's true, 100% true. Seydlitz is he's pulled a SpongeBob and he's forgot everything he could possibly know about reading maps.
He's just looking at the map, just like God, nitpicking every small detail that he thinks is missing.
Anyone who pays too close attention to Seydlitz watches him look at the map for a good minute, and
It's
then watches
upside
him
down.
and then watches him turn it over, and then turn it back. Like there's no markings about what is what side of the map. It's just Tandry, and he knew where all the things were in relation to what he drew. So it's a little cryptic. Antares, what are you doing?
She will sit in the vicinity where the boys are sitting.
Okay.
On like a nice spongy spot of moss. And she says, I feel like I've already slept.
I mean, you were doing some weird thing with the mushrooms, like you all were. Like you made a maze, and Corax made a bookshelf, and Seydlitz was doing weird things with antlers.
I was dreaming.
About a maze?
I guess. I went to nod again.
Corax puts his hand into his cloak, and he's going to feel for that map. Is that map physically there? Well, that's from Kelvin.
Yeah.
Corax just says, "I wasn't dreaming."
And Terry gives him a look. It's a weird thing to say. Okay.
You said you were dreaming. Mine wasn't a dream.
So what was it?
A meeting?
Did you meet the King of Nod again?
He just shakes his head. An old friend.
Who?
Telbin.
That's interesting. She sits back.
Oh, does he know where Raya is?
He disappeared before I could ask the question.
Corax, roll me
Hi, Mike.
a difficulty. This is going to be a difficulty 10, but it is knowledge of gods.
Knowledge of godly beings. Well, that doesn't really help with the difficulty 10 all that much.
I'm sure you have some divine shifts there.
I do actually have 3 divine shifts. Which I can put towards that. So somebody got to 7. Let's call it beings.
Can Mina offer help? Because he knows everything about the gods.
Mina knows everything about everything right now.
You know what, Snow? If you want to impart some godly wisdom, like you, something happened in Corax's head, and you see for a second that like the way your eyes kind of drift up and to the left when you're thinking of something, and you watch his eyes do that. If in the second in which Corax is thinking of something, you can offer some divine inspiration, I will give him an asset.
Yeah, I think Mina just looks at him at that time and said, I picked a book off your bookshelf, and it didn't say anything, but I believed it was something about the gods. I'm sure if you were dreaming about Telbin, maybe he's a god.
You got an asset.
Thank you. I've got two other abilities, Mike. You can let me know if either one of these apply. So eager to learn. You're trained in any task that involves learning something new when digging through old books and lore. Old books to find lore. I don't think that's going to apply. But the other one is trained in finding details in their surroundings. To document the world requires a good attention to detail.
The first one applies, the second one doesn't.
All right, I'll drop that to a 6.
I thought Mina was going to tell him he threw one of his fungus books in the fire.
He's trying to help. He's not trying to piss him off.
Yeah.
And 1 asset from Mina. Success.
Yeah,
We'll put that down to 2. Jesus.
Wow.
And Terry said something that sparked a thought in your mind. A non like an impulse, like it just happened. You didn't even actively think about this. But the little itch in that scratch, you do not gain new information. What you do gain is the understanding that something is actively being kept from you. Information
From
is being
someone in
hidden
particular?
from you.
He doesn't get a sense from where
About
or
Telvin.
from whom.
Information about Telvin is actively being hidden from you.
He doesn't get the sense that it's from someone here.
No. And Terry said something as you were talking, and it was just enough to make you go, huh. And then you tried to access that information, and you cannot.
What did I say?
That is our corruption
That
bar.
is Talbot.
Oh.
He's God. He just goes quiet in that case, and he will pull out. So he's sitting with his back towards this tree thing, his knees up towards everyone else, and he pulls out the map and he pushes it across his knees to have a look at it.
You see this, like, it's not hand drawn map. It's like, because it doesn't. That's not how you draw a map. You don't start in the middle of the page. But it very much is like a center point. Like Dawn's Fall is the center of this paper. And there's no logical reason for that to be that, right? It doesn't make any sense to start a map there in what is ultimately a arguably inconsequential small town in the Ruinscape. But Dawn's Fall is the center, and the only points marked on this map are places you have been. So it appears as though this map is not charting a course, it's following your path.
And there is nothing but the places he's been.
Correct.
Instead of rolling it up, this time he folds it up.
Okay.
And he's going to pull out the Book of Fate. He's going to slot it into the back, and he's just going to flick through the book just to idly kill time.
Okay. You flick through the book, and if I'm not mistaken, there are no new updates to the book. The book has not changed. But you do that. Mina, you are casually laying. Seydlitz, at some point you kind of give up and fold and put away the map. And Antares, you are just sort of sat in this garden, kind of processing. I will say, Antares, since you were in conversation, you do kind of notice the abrupt way that, like, you were talking to Korax and you were talking about, like, what do you mean by it wasn't a dream? And then you watched Korax have a thought. You watched Mina say something that didn't make sense to anyone but Mina. And then you watch Korax just quietly start looking at a book, and the conversation you were having just stops. And you're sort of like left there like, what the? Okay. And you're just sort of sat there watching the conversation die around you. Is there anything that you're doing, Antares, before I?
No, I think she's the conversation died, and then she kind of realized like this is probably the most she's spoken to them since they were reunited up above. But I think she takes out her journal that Talbin gave her.
Do you begin to journal in it?
Yeah, she will contemplate, and then she will start scratching some words in.
Okay. The four of you are sort of in your own head spaces, and you may or may not see out of the corner of your eye the villagers of this village, these humanoid mushrooms, begin to come out of wherever they were, or whatever they were doing, whatever they were tending to, the homes they were in. They all seem to come out en masse. And you watch as they all approach that central mushroom with the glowing pool. And you watch as they form a ring around the center of it, and they extend their hands together or their arms, and you watch as their like the fleshy tendrils of their mushroom hands sort of intertwine like vines to each other. And you watch as they all sort of start to rock and sway in a almost breeze-like motion. And you can hear a very soft melodic hum as you watch the amber pools of this mushroom begin to glow. It starts at the base, and then the stalk of the mushroom begins to glow, and the cap begins to glow brighter, and you watch as it almost extends like an umbrella of light to all of the other mushrooms, and they're already kind of glowing in a certain way, but they begin to glow brighter, and it cascades almost like a dome of light as it just moves from one mushroom to the next mushroom to the next mushroom to the next mushroom, as you watch them sort of perform some sort of little village ritual. And Antares, you hear a discordant note. You hear, when earlier you heard all 6 of the voices that were around you speak in unison, you hear one voice. And after hearing the melodic sort of folding, the choral folding of voices over and over again, it seems out of place to hear just one, and it seems a little bit like coarse in your mind. And you hear a voice say in your mind, "The throne is not empty. It waits. Beware the hungering ones. They do not walk, but spread." And that's where we end this episode.
Damn it. I don't have to remember that until next month.
Yeah. That is where we wrap up episode 47, Daddy Issues. Yeah, next episode will be fun. You guys get to deal with some mushroom stuff. They are called the Lumivane. That's the name of the mushroom. The Lumivane.
Nice.
Do you have a picture of what these things look like?
Nope, I made them up. They're not in the book.
Nice. Nice. Very cool.
I was like, you know
Look
who
like
should
mushrooms.
be here? Mushrooms. Mushroom people. Why wouldn't we have mushroom people? The book does have giant mushroom monstrosity people. Those are called elf knights. And like I think the mushroom are called like elves in here or something weird like that. But I was like, you know what? I want to have some nice little soft bioluminescent myconids to come around and just be helpful little guys. You guys fell down a cliff and got chased by a giant evil snake. So I'm like, you know what? let's have some nice mushroom people. Some LSD mushroom people. Yeah, that's it for us. If you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is over on our Patreon, just like these fine folks you see here before you. And while you're clicking on that link down below, make sure you click on that Discord link. Join us in the Discord, be a part of the community, be a part of the conversation. But before we get out of here, let's go around, do our introductions, and then we'll get ready for our after show, which you guys, again, can watch that over at the $5 tier on our Patreon. We'll start with a hearty welcome back to Chris. Welcome back. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what are you up to?
I'm Chris, aka Necro. I'm up to nothing. You can find me here in the Rise, the Patreon one-shot, and Age of Always when we next schedule that. I think we have a date. I can't remember.
February 14th.
That's it.
Hell for
There we go. What a
Hell
day.
So yeah, you are my first victim today. We'll jump to my second victim. Matt, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
I'm Matt RD. You can find me in Mike's Discord and the Patreon campaign and one shots. Tune in next weekend to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun.
And also, behold the fourth background change I've had for the entirety of the rise.
It's all blurred out. We can't see anything, so.
I know.
Just
But
put up
I'm
your
blurred
normal,
here.
your hearth background, and no one will know the difference. Victim
You mean
number
this one?
3. There you go. Perfect. Victim number 3 of the night. G, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hello, I'm the Friendly Neighborhood Lightning Invoker. You can find me on all things unMadeGaming, modding during the weeks for our normal streams, and all things Patreon, which includes the one-shots next Saturday and Mundus Novus, which is next Sunday, Age of Always with Chris and Melissa, and hopefully modding for these random unscheduled, unplanned streams I might do in the future.
Nightmare. This is your nightmare.
Yeah, it's my nightmare. It's worse than the Doom Orb. It is worse than Confident Mina.
This is the heart of gloom for Antaria, for G.
Yeah.
It's really an unscheduled stream. It's when I just, hey, I'm doing it. I'm coming on.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm sure it'll be very casual and no one will be there. I'll have one viewer and it's me.
Yes. So, because you're not scheduled and not in spur of the moment. So
I'll tweet about it. So that's where you can find G and all the fun things. And of course, no torture, just confidence and excellence and exuberance. Snow, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? And what are you up to?
Just torture for everyone else.
Yes.
I'm Normal Snow. You can find me in the Patreon campaign and one-shots and sometimes in the Discord.
Hell yeah. All right, friends, that's it from us. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for being here. From all of us to you guys, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you later.